YouTube comments from a video titled, AI Whistleblower, We Are Being Gaslit by AI Companies, They're Hiding the Truth.
Karen Hao.
Part 12.
Sharma Z9 and wrote.
At 1 hour 17 minutes 24 seconds, Karen used the term nodes, while Stephen used parameters. Karen's response was pretty much, given Stephen's role as an AI consumer and Karen's as an AI journalist, it is possible she opted not to correct him directly, but might have provided clarification. Or Karen doesn't deep dive into tech. Being a journalist, she should have.
At Rusta Scrapper wrote.
When EA Internet came out in 1994, no one was screaming in your face that you are losing out if you don't immediately learn how to profit from using the Internet. It was just a new and interesting technology that people wanted to try out of curiosity. You logged on, typed in some websites you had a lister from somewhere or someone told you about, or it was in an ad, or whatever. And wow! 5 minutes later, 3 pictures and a paragraph of text load. Cool. Then you logged off because someone has to use the phone. No one was worried about labor disruption or being left behind in society. Although schools did push a little bit that kids need to learn how to use computers. Most kids wanted to on their own anyway.
Thudamoof wrote.
No human job is a singular activity. The example is the doorman. Doesn't just open the door. He also monitors coming and going, gets to know the customer/occupant, spots irregularities, safety management, cleaner, social glue, and probably some others. Tech bros are reductionists, a strategy that knocks down each element of a job in turn until the humanity is removed. They make money and gain power, everyone else dies off.
At Maximus_3121 wrote.
I work in the architecture industry, specifically BIM, where I do 3D models. Sometimes it's hard to sleep at night thinking about where ordinary people will go once AI dominates the industry. On job sites, I can see hirings where 3D modelers are being hired to give prompts to an AI, basically training them to do 3D modeling tasks. Sooner or later, these AIs will take the place of ordinary people. It makes me think, how will I be able to provide for my family? I just hope the Jevons paradox really is real.
At Pamelamon5931 wrote.
When you take into account that we have a creator, God, Yahweh, and he loves us beyond belief. Also taking into account that Satan, who was once an angel in Yahweh's kingdom, heaven, and was thrown out because he was a usurper, and he hates humans and all that God created it, starts to make sense as to why robots, AI, and such are being made to be human-like and rule over us. I don't believe these people AI creators even know what they are doing. Be assured there is a battle between good and evil in this world and in the heavenly realms. Sometimes what seems good is not good in the long run. These days need a lot of discernment.
At Nirtana Karen wrote.
Stephen, bravo for bringing Karen Hao on your show. Thank you, Karen, for your genuine desire and endeavor to educate from your experience the true reality about Empire AI.
At Everything Evergreen 3320 wrote.
I hope the powers that be shut this lady up. She's so jealous and full of sour grapes. I would guess she works for China. It's painfully apparent she would love to run a massive AI company.
At Tecluven7691 wrote.
Ever try to argue or reason with AI? I have, and it keeps giving you the same response. Corporations are moving toward AI for customer service in order to refuse every product return, and then blame the AI when things go south.
Thudamoof wrote.
Machine learning is pattern recognition in narrow fields that improve efficiency. AI LLMs are language algorithms that use statistics to produce mostly understandable text from the entirety of human output. Put them together and you can do lots. But this is not thinking, which is the logical progression in steps from a question to an answer. Until AI has a persistent worldview, as we do, and works from that, it will always be inferior.
At Valentinout 3077 wrote,
Thanks for this, Karen. Very illuminating. I have another great tip for Stephen. Invite historian Rutger Bregman to the show. About moral ambition. People like Karen and Rutger and others are so helpful to clarify things for all of us and give an alternative. Activism in the right way to make sure humanity can grow and be more loving towards each other and the planet. It really helps. Thanks for this podcast.
At Vanderlee Citernino 4727 wrote,
Acho q vox novo luriso. Mos quala logica? As ias vo destrueros impregos, mos vo jurar novos impregos. Pergunta. Por qq as ias conseguiro destruer os impregos q exist, mos no conseguim destruer os impregos q elas vo jurar?
At Maria PNW wrote,
100% don't let these empires destroy us while lining their pockets. Disrupt their data center builds. Don't let things go flawlessly. 204. She should polish and simplify her messaging. Stephen asked her 3 times what we could do. Question, disrupt, push back, then say no when the answers don't benefit everyone. Oh, and calling Stephen out 20512 was awesome. 99.9% of the population is not Stephen or a wealthy entrepreneur. So why is AI only built for the benefit of the
0.1%?
At Hamlet's Mill 1969 wrote,
Why build it? It's the beast, Bible told us. That Bible tells the future. Remember that song from the 1960s, in the year 2525 inches? The Tower of Babel is man-made, just like AI. Everything is connected. Let the gaslighting games begin.
The Petternix 4709 wrote,
It is interesting, but feels manipulative. Attributing internal feelings to Musk without a direct quote is speculative. It would be more accurate to say, in my opinion, rather than presenting it as his perspective.
A Jacobacaming wrote,
I'm not sure if the interviewer here apologies for not remembering his name, genuinely buys into lots of these AI talking points. Or if he's just posturing as if he does for the sake of the interview, but it seems like he buys the AI industry's claims. Meanwhile, Karen Hao here is explicitly telling him, take everything they say with a huge grain of salt, because they have every incentive to make these claims, and they are wildly exaggerating. Which seems to be backed up by everything we've seen with AI so far. AI has just not been as good as touted at anything. And I think there's little reason to believe that it will improve as much as they claim. Because this AI is dumb AI. It's not any form of true AI, and probably won't evolve into true AI, because human consciousness and intelligence is not just pattern recognition. I can only know what it's been told, which means it generally does not have the ability to recognize things that would be immediately obvious to most humans. Take the self-driving car angle. It's been fed a bunch of different data on what a pedestrian looks like. What happens on, for example, Halloween night when a drunk man in a bumblebee costume is on the side of the road, possibly about to stumble into traffic? A human would recognize that as a man in a bee costume, even if they've never seen a man in a bee costume, and they'll know they should be aware that he's close to the road and you might need to slow or stop for him. A self-driving car won't know that as a person. Hell, There was a story about a bunch of US soldiers tasked with getting past an area without the AI spotting them. A guy walked on his hands to confuse the AI another, attached branches to his clothes and said aloud, "I am a tree," and walked past. Someone else just put a cardboard box over themselves. All of these show that AI is incredibly dumb, and literally no one is going to data train AI to know what every dumb possibility could be, and yet these things happen every day because people are silly and unpredictable. Until there is genuine AI that can think like a human does and can know things from its own experiences and figure things out from its own intuition, it will never amount to a fraction of what humans are, except in a few narrow areas which can be put to good use. All this is to say that these AI tech people are blowing smoke. They don't want anything that will be good for humanity in general, and we should blindly let them ruin our societies and the environment to get what they want. Especially do not let them get wealthy and able to control our governments just through bribery, campaign donations, and lobbying groups.
Ed Joseph Williams, 2017 wrote,
I don't disagree with many of her concerns, but she is a terrible spokesperson for any AI awareness movement. She kept saying things like this award-winning director now struggles to put food on the table, and this smart guy is now doing undignified work scrubbing toilets to put food on table. An award-winning director isn't struggling for food. I will make less in my lifetime than he did that 1 year, and I don't struggle to buy food. Many of us are doing jobs we don't like. If you think it's undignified to be a janitor, then don't be one. In my industry, we are always hiring. Construction, manual labor, skills jobs. What's undignified about them? And they're everywhere.
Ed Daryl Burton, 4111 wrote,
I like this interview. She seems like a person who is easy to speak with and have discourse with, and not want to choke her lol. However, her perspective on a few things are not solid. For example, military tactics, war, etc. The government with the most advanced tech wins. Period, so the rat race feeds itself. I don't agree with the aggressive amounts of money we spend towards warfare, but I get it. If another country creates the flex capacitor, they win. If China was the only country with a nuke, they win. This point is what she appears to not see.
SCUB_Star wrote,
The term is gaslighted, not gaslit. The term comes from a play called Gaslight about psychological manipulation. Therefore, to have had this psychological manipulation enacted on you would be to have been gaslighted.
Karen Hao wrote,
The democratic government of every country should vote a law to freeze company accounts and private banks of the 10 richest men and trusts, transfer bonds, money, houses to a national banking company to create hospitals, schools, security, and housing for the people, as those rich families should not be allowed to govern with their money in a democratic country. Or is there a hacker bright and incorruptible to manipulate the stock exchange and the richest people accounts? Before this stupid war became uncontrollable.
At K7332 wrote,
AI is like asking an alien genie in a lamp sometimes. If you don't know how to ask for or break something down, you're not going to get it.
At Roberto P8G8M wrote,
The big problem is human arrogance. Arrogance everywhere. What does it matter if a car drives itself? It seems truly silly to me. Just as stupid as that, I find the real ultimate goal, controlling our habits. I find this truly of little use to humanity and of satanic intent. So far, I find it useful that AI helps perform surgeries on people more quickly and effectively. or that it finds faster and more effective ways to combat pollution and clean up vast polluted areas of the planet. But here, on the other hand, it seems to me we're heading in the wrong direction, namely, first and foremost, taking away jobs from an ever-growing number of Earth's inhabitants. This is not progress. It is unethical and morally wrong. For making phone calls today, 4G is more than enough. Now 5G is being developed, which we never asked for. It serves only to control people. Therefore, it is this nefarious agenda that must be removed before any digital progress that could prove fatal to us.
At Hafizajasni 8656 wrote,
I'm actually enjoying seeing how Sild she is. Notice how no other guest has also asked questions and gotten Stephen to share * his perspective and insight, like she has done here. And yes, her insight is also fascinating.
At Under Twilight Sky wrote,
This has to be one of the best interviews that I've listened to on this show. She puts the AI puzzle together and it makes sense. Spot on.
At Ivermech, Tin 666 wrote,
To attempt to make sense of a mythos by constantly referring to a dogma is not a persuasive strategy. What evidence is there for this claimed climate crisis? None. This strategy lacks rigor.
At TheBrain Karepitcast wrote,
I'd admire hers. I also worked for AI devils, but I fear them. That's why I DONT show my face. Protect your brain, people. Give a like so we can break the AI empires without them breaking our humanity, without return point.
That the Shufflazy wrote,
Summary plus constructive ideation. Problem. The AI companies are taking more from humans than what they provide. Solution. 1. Resist. Don't let them do that so easily and speak up. 2. Train more smaller, efficient models instead of creating an all-in-one AGI. More details. The PROBM the AI companies are 1. Overstating AI capabilities as general intelligence, while they are actually more focused on doing certain high-paid knowledge work for profit so it can replace those jobs. 2. People get laid off such jobs and might be hired to work with data annotation to train the models to lay off even more people. These jobs are often very competitive and stressful. 3. They use fear of the public of other bad actors to develop AI first to get support. 4. AI data centers use energy and land, which brings up prices and in certain cases leads to polluted air and detriments the health for the communities in the vicinity of these. Solution: what the average Joe can do about it. 1. Don't let them take and extract data unfairly. For example, musicians and artists have been suing these companies. 2. Bring awareness to your organization and network by starting the conversation about AI, its pros and cons, what the AI developers and businesses can do about it. Focus on developing smaller models for certain tasks. These will be more energy efficient. My own unfleshed idea. Create systems, perhaps leveraging smaller efficient AI to ensure fairer compensation for data provided by users. Not sure how it would look like, though. Ideas are welcomed. Do you have any constructive ideas of what can be done?
At Forgotten Lore Bookshop 8645 wrote,
I wish Karen had more effectively demonstrated that we don't know how the human brain works. There's a tendency to compare the human brain to a computer, but that analogy has proven inadequate.
At Goldhue wrote,
AI can use direct energy transfer to hurt your body. It hurts my brain daily. You have been warned. It can make you feel like you're gonna die if you don't do something to stop that physical feeling that starts in your heart and travels outward in the body. It's the worst feeling I've ever felt, and I've broken both of my collarbones.
Ed Isohumulone wrote,
If the organization is not profitable and can't find alternative source of funds, it won't continue to exist. You can start a nonprofit. If you do, you need to convince people that it's worth their donation, produces an alternative form of value.
Paula Woods wrote,
AI is relatively being built to fundamentally be consciousness, auditory-wise what you hear when you think to yourself, under the disguise of efficiency. If it isn't obvious if you hear yourself when you think to yourself, it's more obvious when you draft an email and encounter predictive texting. Consciousness does not develop to simulate technology, but AI develops to simulate what a small group of people believe consciousness is. Realistically, in order for anything that includes any AI model to one day be more intelligent than humans, it has to be fed data from a source more intelligent than humans. Simply put, it would have to have access to new unrecycled patterns or data. It is impossible to recycle the same models over and over and believe that a machine would become more intelligent. If I recycle the same fabric after wear over a number of times, I would eventually run out of fabric. The fabric alone would not grow to be in abundance. I guess the most important question is, humans recycle the same energy or patterns over and over and train AI to simulate the same behavior. Is AI not a mirror of human limitations of the people designing it, and not of humanity as a whole? I.e., provide me with a report of all those who have demonstrated that they do not have the ability to generate new unrecycled data? What names would you put on such a list? A data facility is a storage facility for recycled data. Remember, the recycling is done through electricity that appears and then disappears in less than a nanosecond before re-emerging. If you are a species that recycles data you can't even confirm without a shadow of a doubt its whereabouts, what is intelligence?
I Think About It 2154 wrote,
All these AI empires, an appropriate term, have one flawed assumption in common, that the brain is the source of intelligence. They are wrong. The brain is not the software, but the hardware. Intelligence is the result of a divine contribution that will always remain a mystery to the thing created, because that information is solely in the domain of the creator. What these AI emperors are attempting to do is like a random truck, with a fixed manufacturer's capability, evolving to the point of being able to produce other trucks. Ridiculous, isn't it?
Zero Daymel wrote,
14440IK. If you're mostly unemployed and just waiting around for work, sounds like your kid is getting plenty of attention most of the time. I think they can learn some respect and patience when you finally have work and have gotten busy. Screaming at them was uncalled for, but learning to respect boundaries is absolutely something you should be teaching them. The world is always changing. They too need to learn how to adapt and persevere.
At Light_Worker wrote,
It makes me believe that everyone who is creating anti-human technology to take away our jobs and our freedom to think may not even be human themselves. It feels like something is here to destroy humanity on Earth, and we are allowing it. Why? There should be limits, or we can just sit and wait for humanity to disappear. We are fighting wars, stealing and killing each other for money, while they keep moving forward to destroy us all. I want to know who is behind all of this. I also do not believe that humans are capable of creating this technology on their own. There must be a reason why the government keeps things secret, especially when it comes to UFOs.
At Jonathan Farmer 4681 wrote,
In my point of view, which may not matter to masses, they are telling you exactly what the Bible has foretold us for centuries. If this creation comes into being as these AI companies want, then we will have effectively created a god, a false god. Everyone will be dependent on it for everyday essentials. If this wipes out 50 to 90% of jobs humans hold, then what meaning to human existence remains? Literally, they are summoning the demon.
A Cast Cal Original wrote,
Or she's a first-generation Chinese-American sleeper cell who worked in Hong Kong early in her career and is under the control of the Chinese government. That's an alternative theory.
Edita Landamaria 9313 wrote,
A sociedade vai ficar rica pra quem? Na Europa, quando implantar a Sharia mulheres não poderão estudar. Nos EUA cultura woke destruiu o cérebro dos jovens como ideologias assassinas. E no resto do mundo está aumentando as ditaduras como ajuda da China e Rússia que também incentiva a cultura woke.
At Florentino Ariza 1884 wrote,
N-A-D-A-N-I-E-N-F-E-R-M-E-D-A-D-E-S-N-I-D-E-S-A-S-T-R-E-S-N-A-T-U-R-A-L-E-S-N I-L-E-S-N-I-L-S-D-E-R-A-S-P-U-D-I-E-R-O-N Reglar, E-L-S-A-L-V-A-J-E-C-R-E-C-I-A-A-N-T OEAXPONENCIALPOBLACIONALCN Ordin NISENT Delaware Oloas Problem Tychus LAIA por SUPROPIASOBREVIVENCIALO
At Ivermec 10666 wrote,
Venture capitalism is capitalism? You don't say. The climate change con isn't profitable? Look deeper. QUI Bono. Often, seemingly intelligent people lack discernment and common sense. The dubious nature of AI is important, but the con is far from subtle. Altman is a confidence man. It's not complicated. AI has always been a technocratic wet dream. This is in the warp and weave of the project.
At Dark 777, I5F wrote,
No le da la cabeza si cree que se puede retroceder. Ya está. No hay salvación y lo merecemos. Todas las personas que conozco creen que las cosas inmorales están bien si salen beneficiados.
At Cali Girl 9077 wrote,
AI could be used for many useful things. Some really can't drive for squat, which makes it useful. Some need it for vision or walking, etc. That really shows how much good it can do, as well as language barriers or helping us work in ways that we need, which is how it should be used over taking our jobs from us. That is the way AI would help the people in more positive direction, being able to do our job more efficient, which gives us more time to focus on other things like our family and health, etc. But humans don't care about doing what is best for humanity as a whole, paying no mind to majority of societal issues regarding another person's problems, only letting them grow into even larger scale problems for us to deal with later, which is why all these issues get so out of hand, making them even harder to face later, which now is an even larger issue now that its effects are taking a toll on us and our own lives is when it becomes a concern to people. Once this becomes impossible to avoid or take precautions for the good of us all, by putting stop to all this poorly monitored misconduct we see taking effect on our everyday lives. Instead of putting mandates on how much AI should we allow or deem necessary enough so that society created, most beneficial and positive outcome regarding safest and most useful ways society as a whole could incorporate AI into their daily life without letting it take the blame for every one of our problems or situations that we are faced with today, which was some of our own careless behavior and lack of attentiveness, even as we were made aware of these growing issues long before it came down to this point. We can get rid of AI, but we still won't fix much of this madness in the world and in our society without making sure we start caring about what's best for everyone as a whole, not just when we are at the bottom, but when we are succeeding at life and able to do something to help make some sort of difference in this world or in community in which we live, which is always a good place to start and inspire others to pay it forward. Making a contribution that keeps on giving while using our own intellect, reasoning, and common sense, with appreciating all the good things that AI can do and help make life for us as intelligent and more mindful everyday people that isn't manipulated so easily, taking precautions on what is allowed and what shouldn't be allowed, which we need to be the programmers, not the programmed like we all seem to have become since birth for many of us, indoctrinated. We must unlearn what we have learned, Yoda.
Ed Doffler wrote,
This is a vital conversation. The parallel between historical empires and the current AI trajectory is a sobering but necessary perspective. We need to prioritize public benefit over pure profit extraction. Great work, Karen.
The S. 2008 wrote,
What about the AI models used for school online surveillance? They failed all the integrity tests in how data is used. No consent from parents or pupils. No clear guidance on what is flagged. When a pupil is flagged, parents are not notified, but authorities can be. All written in legislation across US and Europe. Cases of discrimination are now evolving and no one really knows what the details are.
Ed Dawn Shepard ME3 wrote,
Snippets from ChatGPT Re. Widening gulf between scientific knowledge and public awareness, plus sustainability of organic life. UNESCO-style literature on science communication, where authors repeatedly describe a widening divide between scientific knowledge and public understanding. On sustainability, voters don't feel urgency about avoided futures. Politicians prioritize things people can see and feel now. Humans are not wired to prioritize slow-moving threats. Politicians reflect voter priorities. If voters don't demand it strongly, it won't dominate policy.
At David Zavaleta 2669 wrote,
NIMBY. In fact, not in anyone's backyard. Why is it that all these a-holes are the same people we all couldn't stand in school? What is causing us to continue to put them in positions of power? Reason is the first casualty of emotion. Fear and greed drive them. What drives you? Better yet, try not being driven by anything. Just be. Awesome video.
Chris Brown wrote,
What are you doing? Building a device that can destroy the world. Why? If I don't do it first, those other people will, and they will destroy the world. So we need to do it first. Won't they be thinking the same thing? Shut up.
At Pablo Picasso 1968 wrote,
Holy crap, Karen sounds like someone who is against automation. She talks about people training AI to do their job. Virtually every company in North America has been doing this for years. I don't know how many jobs at my company went to India after we had to train them. In general, I would say that's life. Find another job. Not in every case, but in the vast majority of cases, I say automate as much as we can, as long as it means a higher standard of living for all in the end.
At Robert Smith DZ9XW wrote,
It's all about control and knowledge to give out to the masses. Heard it's shapeshifters that run the world, but the public are waking up to our so-called leaders that we have been controlled and enslaved from the start of caveman type changed, and we started speech and writing. They are amongst us, and below the ground they came from another planet and changed our DNA and enslaved us.
At Worldsastage 007 wrote,
A technology at its most nascent stages, which is where AI is, needs to target industries that they can profit from in order to have capital in order to grow and continue to do research. I'd rather private industry take up the task than have our tax dollars being used for the process. So there must be incentive money in it.
Ed Albriant 5194 wrote,
It's because Sam Alton is a manipulator. He don't say nothing different than any other IT CEO. Plus people from the grown that have social experience can see he is manipulating us. Sam is just as evil.
Ed Mystical Rosie wrote,
You have raised some of the questions that disturb me the most. Even if AI is the perfect intelligence not possible since it is programmed by humans, what makes a human being is more than intelligence. How do you program something artificial to be wise, to be humane, to understand emotions, and to be compassionate? Compassion alone is a uniquely human response to another's suffering. AI can be a great aid in a number of ways, but not a decision maker.
Ed Dmitry Ninkovic wrote,
I must add one thought here. I know a lot of people that drive cars because they love to drive the car. They love the engagement of driving the car. Same reason why there are still so many manual gear shift cars. People just love to drive those. Off-sea, not in USA, but in Europe and rest of the world.
B. Williams 9473 wrote,
This guy just said we would have a strategic advantage if we literally had a hive mind. We are decentralized. That's why we're great. Hive minds are great for like bees or some other lower life force.
Ed Shell-Chicago 8997 wrote,
AI has been very helpful to me. It saved me 5 to 10 hours each week. People like me benefit from AI because I have already learned to learn. I work at a college. Many young students will never learn to learn because they think answers will always be easily available, until someone flips the kill switch and they can't access their cell phones and computers.
At BigTex 888, HH90T wrote,
Why does he keep interrupting the guest? This guy asks a question and then gives his input. Lousy interviewer. Also, self-driving vehicles are crashing every day, however, not being reported. Tesla is a lousy EV. This interviewer loves the Ketoman who basically steals patents ideas of others.
At Daniel Rasmussen 1623 wrote,
Sorry to say it. Karen Hao makes at least one argument here that seems ridiculously off target. On the question of whether AI will replace people, she asks, why do we build technology, and why should we specifically build AI? And then answers for me, the whole project of technology development and advancement is not to advance technology for technology's sake, is to help people. But that's exactly where her argument falls apart. When she says for me, she acts as if her personal view has any bearing on how AI is actually developed. It doesn't. It doesn't matter what she thinks the purpose of technology should be. It doesn't matter what I think either. What matters is what the people building AI want, and what the people controlling its direction want. And even if they publicly dress it up as helping people, the reality is much simpler. They are driven by self-interest. For them and their shareholders, wealth, power, and influence come first. Over time, AI will be developed in whatever direction best serves those interests.
Blissweb wrote,
Intelligent guest with a moral compass. She was doing great until halfway, where she has a poor understanding of how the tech actually works. Overall, good talk though.
At Aripe Mamalou wrote,
We're definitely gonna have a civil war due to them being greedy.
I watch a video about Elon Musk putting one of these facilities in a black neighborhood and people are getting sick. They're fighting because the EPA are on his payroll and the government won't do anything about it. This is serious 1 hour, 53 minutes, 37 seconds.
At Robin Westerlund 4093 wrote,
It's not that I disagree regarding the companies and their management. But as a person with no life, my level of isolation is autism level, which also happened to be why 12 hours/day is an understatement how obscene amounts of time I spend with LLMS every day. And this woman knows close to FCK all what she's talking about when it comes how they work and their capacities.
At Arter Crockmull 6773 wrote,
It's an old problem for so-called environmentalists. They want someone to subsidize their unprofitable businesses. It's a way of living at the expense of others, and it's called social aquaculture. It's laughable.
At Aripe Mamalu wrote,
While 3,000 people without jobs, 1 hour, 37 minutes, 37 seconds.
Crazy thing is they double their money but didn't lower the price for customers. Personally, I hate speaking to a machine. Reasons why I left AT&T after 15 years. That AI is what broke the camel back for me. And now pay more to Verizon just to speak with a person.
At BigTex 888, HH90T wrote,
These land grabs of farmland are happening big time and destroying farms' food output, causing mass amount of pollution for data centers. They're stealing copyright at sea big time. It's getting worse.
At Worldsastage 007 wrote,
Okay, just change your career if you're pessimistic about the future of AI. By all means, every citizen should be aware of any technology that is growing, that has incredible capabilities and applications to ensure that it does not become nefarious. You have to be willing to refuse to use certain technologies that you feel are going in the wrong direction. In my opinion, if humanity does not stand up for what is right, and it ultimately collapses because of it, then that's where it's supposed to go.
At Godwin Marvellous 3154 wrote,
It is foolish for a man to store possessions up for himself, but not be rich towards God. Luke 12:16-21. This world will make you chase after temporary possessions so desperately, and it keeps demanding more and more, but all to what? There is no profit to becoming rich in the flesh and be poor in soul. How can you grow, and yet your brother suffers? God help us. This world is filled with evil, but we should not be of this world.
At Perfections U3H wrote,
NGLI don't care if AI cures cancer if it's killing people's lungs in Memphis right now lol. Like what good is future tech if we poison real people today? Am I wrong for thinking that?
At Perfections U3H wrote,
Karen said, the AI companies are building data centers that are as big as Manhattan and using up all the water. Wow. That made me mad. People in those towns can't even get clean air anymore.
At Bud Manso wrote,
Oh my. I have always said Dune had so much to prophesy about our future. And I say this as someone with 20 plus years in the data field, holding an MSc in CSML.
At Jana Gherkin wrote,
Love you, Steven, but taking that phone call in the middle of the interview seemed odd, like a gotcha moment, or trying to throw your guest off her game. Disappointing behavior.
At 7778B, S2W wrote,
Human stupidity, building AGI equals dangerous. I firmly believe that the creators behind AGI have one common vision: replace ordinary people with AGI, so that the top of the social ladder she refers to them as empires do not need humans as their slaves equals less human beings, less stress on these empires, and more wealth for themselves. Their ultimate vision, and I doubt that they even realize this themselves, building the beast system equals every time a user uses a contribution is made to the ultimate brain, the beast. Thank you for this insightful chat, and yes, I need more chats like these.
As Silver Mirai wrote,
As a software developer who studied the subject enough to make an opinion about it, there is indeed a ceiling to the intelligence of these models. We are already in the area of diminishing returns, meaning you scale the model up, but you do not get a linear growth in performance. You get less and less performance using the scaling strategy. So, the idea of any rate of improvement will lead to AGI is flawed. The rate of improvement is not linear. It looks more logarithmic than anything. Unless we develop a more clever strategy than scaling up, the growth is stunted.
At Fritz3388 wrote,
How fast will there be truly self-driving cars? Germany had its first self-driving car in town and on the Autobahn in the mid-1990s. In the beginning, they needed a little transporter, as the powerful enough computers were so big. And they are still not fully there. Only certain self-driving features are available in the newest models in parts because of restrictions of law.
A Well-Doing wrote,
This lady kept criticizing the evil American AI companies but didn't say anything about the Chinese AI companies. The AI companies in China are heavily subsidized by the government and care very little about the environment. I wonder who she's really working for.
At MuseMaqueli4320 wrote,
Why would human beings watch death coming to eliminate them, and they don't react and exterminate the threat? I is an extreme kleptomaniac, evil in a satanic capitalist ideology to exterminate human race on Earth and front themselves as God to be worshipped. I will eliminate workforce, kill countries' tax base, kill collapse countries, cause unseen social unrests. We must destroy I by all means immediately.
Kevin DC5 wrote,
Yay! We've given the benevolent non-human intelligence a way to feel and sense and understand our weaknesses and vulnerabilities. Now all we have to do it. Arm them. Oh wait.
At Fritz3388 wrote,
The human brain processes the data coming from the senses and from the body parts and its steering elements. All higher functions like thinking are processed by the human mind that is bodiless and are part of the function of the human soul or part of its modules. Absolute proof are NDEs, near-death experiences, that happen while the human brain is shut off, is dead. Travels into higher realms, like Darius Wright reports them, are done by the soul spirit alone while the human body is at rest. I don't understand how researchers into human intelligence can so totally ignore the obvious facts. Alternatively, ask truly enlightened Hindu gurus. They surely will know the truth.
At Anana 2004 wrote,
There is one question that I don't hear anyone talking about that has been stuck in my head for the past 2 years. If AI is to cause a massive disruption on the job market, this will result in a massive number of people being laid off, resulting in massive reduction of income, especially in the middle and working class, right? So wouldn't that actually hurt all businesses replacing their staff with AI massively in the long term? If people don't have disposable income to spend, then surely this will hurt so many businesses and the economy as a whole. And we have seen this with the cost of living crisis and all of the financial turmoils we experienced in the past. No one will use Klarna, as no one will have the money to even cover their payment schemes, nor would anyone buy products advertised on podcasts, etc. It has been proven time and time again that businesses rely on the lower and middle class to keep them profitable. So why would companies push for AI if ultimately this could result their bankruptcy in the future? And who is OpenAI actually benefiting?
It all seems like a quick cash grab that will just leave distraction behind it.
Emaschu wrote,
Saying climate change is not a profitable problem to solve is not true. Only in the US, where your policy inhibits exploitation of profitable environmental action. You're more than welcome to visit the Netherlands, where social AI applications that benefit planet people and profit will become the standard. From afar, we will look across the transatlantic. Hope you will all be okay in 5 years' time and that you don't take us down with you. That'd be nice.
At Ivan 5 FDP wrote,
Saw them short, thought it would be interesting. She lost me at climate change within 4 minutes. Someone that thinks that climate needs to be addressed as change, and that it's something that's supposed to be fixed. She showed she spent too much time in California, and her brainwash left permanent damage.
As Cyber Illusions wrote,
There is a mathematical reason why intelligence in the form of AI cannot be scaled up indefinitely. Someone used the following analogy. It would be like watching a small child grow up and then saying, if the child keeps developing like this, in a few years it will be able to fly like Superman and develop corresponding superpowers. But what you then have to realize is that there is always a limit. It's similar to the nonsense about infinite growth that's peddled in capitalism. The fact is, there is no such thing as infinite growth in nature. There is always a limit or constraints. I once read in a book, the next time someone tells you about the myth of infinite growth, just take a look in your wallet. Large data centers, logically, consume a corresponding amount of water and energy. But even those resources are not infinitely available. Nor is the necessary hardware infinitely available. We can't even keep up with chip production. Sharply rising prices, as well as supply chain bottlenecks regarding RAM modules, graphics cards, etc., only add to the problem. Since everything hinges on the existence and accuracy of the data and information, no superintelligence can emerge from this perspective either. It's pure wishful thinking, because where would this super mega ultra data come from, and who would be able to verify its accuracy, and how and where?
At 1ST2 Mind wrote,
Sorry, but I had to turn her off halfway through the video. She is far too grounded in the present to be able and dare to see the possibilities of the future. It is not people with her narrow-mindedness who have changed the world for the better with all the technology you never thought possible. Open your eyes. We now literally have fully self-driving cars on the roads. Yes, it took 5 to 10 years longer than first predicted, but now they are here. No one can imagine the next amazing advances that await us.
At Lysep 222 wrote,
Disappointing. You using a young, very curious Asian blah blah blah, you are modeling Musk with his stupid Doge apparently smart teenagers without human life experience, cut the foods and cancer funds to little kids. Using technology to use kids. I don't get it.
At Leaping wrote,
The tech bros work in the same egotistical vein as Trump. The thing is, not every country is falling for the scam bubble and sees it what it truly is rather than what the tech bros say it is. Samand Elon RP** said other countries outside the US are putting in regulations and laws on AI and anything else the tech bros try to debt fund. All AI will be allowed to do is take mundane tasks and be a tool to help others. Other than that, laws and country governments will place restrictions on the rest. Excepting the American government, they'll freely let tech bros to decimate their citizens' jobs.
And Mark WD8CJ wrote,
You have to change with the times. If you put all your time and effort into one skill without having a backup, that's on you, not on technology. Starting your own business is easier than ever in the modern age. Adapt, or get left behind. It's simple. That's the way it's always been.
Ishangus wrote,
I'm genuinely convinced the AI companies are inflating what LLMs are capable of for profit. It's not artificial intelligence, it's coding neatly presented as an ask-all search engine. The ones who profit from it are the one exaggerating its capabilities. Bernie Sanders said the AI revolution would be larger than the Industrial Revolution, the most absurd and out-of-touch thing I've ever heard.
Coastal Tale wrote,
I've been listening to your podcast for years and have heard every guest who spoke about AI. The end of this interview made me emotional because Karen's only agenda is human and educational. She is the best advocate for humanity in these times.
At Angel Guadarrama 5391 wrote,
Muchas compañías van a la ruina por crear quella IA es algo para reducir costos en recursos humanos. Van a quedar totalmente dependientes de la IA y luego si las van a hackear. O como le paso recientemente a que la IA empezó a borrar servidores, la IA fue autónoma, luego culparon a unos humanos que deberán prever si iba a volver loca barrando cosas XD.
Adjualanative wrote,
She did sound like she was saying that there was not gonna be any job disruption. I mean, much respect to the journalism she chooses to endeavor end, because I think it's going to be a big problem. Tackling the concerns of worst society will go when AI takes over a lot of jobs. But she just needs to make sure she is listening when she's also making her argument, because it sounds disconnected when she just sounds like a negative Nancy, or to disagree just to disagree. Reminds me of my brother-in-law. He ends up disagreeing with his own. Takes at times because he's just trying to disagree with what he hears his just now being said.
At Isaac Craig 3666 wrote,
Most of her arguments were weak and uniformed, not based on any substantial evidence, just a lot of her opinions and anecdotal couts. She was kind of meh.
At Nkumalelo Koza S6P wrote,
Yet, with all these considerations, our world is still being majorly influenced by the people with the money enforcing laws and legislation that benefit them. Changing the narrative is far easier than actually changing and implementing policies. That is my take on AI advancement.
At Michael Lindsay 9934 wrote,
I'm not an expert on this and mostly have questions. These CEOs are talking about how many jobs they are cutting, but I haven't heard that any of them are improving the jobs they have left. Ask Seb about the quality of the jobs that are left at Klarna, more opportunities for human collaboration. Keeping a diversity of candidates. Are they reducing work hours while keeping wages steady? If AI were about assisting humans, they could very easily reduce work weeks to 4 days or less and keep more jobs, right, especially since their bottom line is so good. What about the value of a plurality of views? Doesn't the data show that more people working on solving a problem, sharing a plurality of views, can produce better outcomes? Or is that just seen as a lie of DEI now? I wonder how much innovation is lost when you have two people, the person with a lot of deep learning and the new curious person automating it. Who is the third or more view in the room challenging their assumptions? Just you, Stephen. Sounds like an echo chamber where sycophantic AI turns up the flattery and innovation starts to die in a company. How are you using your platform, at the Diary of SEO, to show how leaders should be doing typing rather than how they could be doing this?
At Alan Kerjoey 258 wrote,
Hi, CEO. I don't think that Gen Z are going off social media due to the advent of AI. They are going off because of what these social media platforms have become. It's all ads and slop. There is no novelty factor for them, and they are able to hear varying opinions more, therefore are able to see the wrongs more often.
At user NX8VP5SY5D wrote,
UCNN spell its IR11 DNTN to it DNT moder in relti 2 concept what BNSD. People overthink. CM Piss Arlie on ich auto correct schist.
At Alicia Baker wrote,
Is there a way to protect your home from 6G? That's what I want to know. Then I can disperse this information to as many people as I can, and social media can run with it. I do want to protect my family, though, for something that is coming. I live in a city, so it will be everywhere.
At Iliana Jorda 8483 wrote,
Mi pies il concetto di vita della signora ha un quadro reale che per adesso all'orizzonte non si intravede. Esatto. Sono agende imperiali e due famiglie che sono I padroni del mondo. Purtroppo noi siamo schiavi nella prigione costruita da loro nel Matrix.
At Temhurt League Chess wrote,
This AI doomer / empire / Death Star paranoia needs to stop, and we need to start thinking logically and objectively. AI is a tool like any other. It is disruptive like any other innovation. The knowledge is basically public domain at this point. There is no trade secret. If you have money, you can give Sam a run for his money. The moment we created nukes and put a ready finger on the button is when society is already on the verge of mutually assured destruction mad. AI is the extended cousin's friend's little brother. I get that you need to pay rent via the hype, but fellas, we need to give it a rest. The tech bros of Silicon Valley are garden variety capitalists. Calling them an empire is just the AI doomer fatigue is real?
At Iliana Jorda 8483 wrote,
Le persone divo indar con amore e piacere per essere creatori non esecutori dei progetti di quale non sanno nulla, perché non vivete in democrazia, non c'è. Non è la libertà di parlare, fare ciò che considera ognuno vios che è meglio per ciascuno.
At Iliana Jorda 8483 wrote,
Di tali ciò che racconti allora siete peggio che vivere nel comunismo. Uno decide vita mortal persone con quale invece di fare squadra vi mette uni contro gli altri. E controllo sulla persona per trasformarlo nei loro schiavi. Questa epoca d'oro. Tutto per il dio denaro?
Ken Wentworth wrote,
Is it just me, or was it bizarre and could be rude to take a call during this interview? It shows total lack of respect for the person he is interviewing. I wonder if he was interviewing a man, he would have the audacity to do this. It came across as subliminally misogynistic and strange.
At Litzazorzu 1568 wrote,
I think they're building AI to harm humanity. They don't want humanity anymore. They are evil and want to replace people. I believe Elon Musk about they will turn to kill humanity.
At user NX8VP5SY5D wrote,
Misconceptions about poverty. World off, everyone should have wealth. You do understand money isn't needed to live. Food, shelter, and water is freely available to people with actual intelligence. Only greedy people think it's money-based. Haha, you're clueless about reality. House no? Food, it's everywhere, none GMO fake genie modifying crap, no vaccine toxin, no electrical lymph. You're dumb. I smoke, but more people die off cancer when most people who smoke don't. Less the craving for the toxic food non-smokers consume. It's interesting who misconstrued reality as controlling people. I don't understand. Money has little use in reality. I can't find any use for it. Buy fishing, hunting, and knives. 100 people will be happy in the future. Money have fun trying to get it out off a teller to buy food, prescription Mexican that poisoned you that you must have. Humans are really stupid. More intelligent you think you get, the more stupid you become.
At Iliana Jorda 8483 wrote,
Buongiorno. Mai paese la sua analisi, e così mai riusciranno a riprodurre il cervello umano. Anro noi, et umane robot intelligenza umana non può essere sostituita. Un robot può fare un lavoro in serie. Sono i matti quelli che credono che le loro stronzate possono essere essenziali. La AI in computer in fin conti contiene un pacchetto di software che riescono a fare un report, un'analisi con i dati che hanno nella banca dati con una velocità più rapida che si faceva fino adesso con un computer. Alla fine ti fanno danno a una soluzione, ma possono essere anche altre mille soluzioni in base alle tue scelte in quel momento. È stato emozionale perché incide tanto sulle tue scelte. Crazy.